So Tommy's someone who's been rewriting the rules in Chicago, and now that he's settled on his team and his drug, he's thinking about expanding. But the problem with expanding is, there's always a chance of attracting enemies, beef, gang wars, and bodies dropping in the streets if the product is stepped on. And we don't even know what the side effects are of this new cheaper version of Dhalia. Because we know there is no kickback to the original, but are there any side effects to this new affordable version that's gonna hit the streets soon? So that's something else we need to watch. But in this video, we're gonna run through how Tommy's on the hunt for a new cook, and it seems like he's got someone in mind already. So we're gonna run through who it could be. And over the past few weeks, we've been running through possible ways they could connect Force to Power Book 2 Ghost with crossovers and connections. So I'm gonna run through how Dhalia could also be another avenue for them to cross over with Power Book 2 Ghost, and how they could connect law enforcement coming over to Force, potentially with someone like Blanca Rodriguez. But let's start with how Tommy's been sussing out the major players in Chicago, because he was someone who came to Chicago just looking for Miriam Egan's grave, but he found the game instead, along with his secret family. But he realized there was a gap which he could take advantage of, and since then, we've been watching him assemble his team and work out who he wants to work with. Now he found out who was dominating the drug game and who the major players were, and that was the Flynns and the CBI, who he was introduced to in episodes 1 and 2, where he clashed with Vic very early on. But in contrast, he bonded with Diamond after they were kidnapped by Rojas's men. But he killed Rojas's men after he picked up the routes to his distros, knowing that they'll need a connect at some point. And this was always in the back of Tommy's mind, because this was a pipeline ready to distribute product. But first he needed to find this product, which he did, with the 10 keys that Lilliana stole from the Serbs. But after he sold them to Vic and the CBI, when he was cut out the deal that he made, he needed a new product and a new team to work with. And this is where we've seen Tommy do a complete U-turn, and now he's created a team of powerful women around him, with Lilliana, Claudia, and now with the introduction to Dr. Williams, because she is also a key part of Tommy's team, because she's the scientist and the brains behind Dhalia. But let's start with Lilliana, because she's someone who's gone from being this career chick in New York, where he tried to kill her, to now probably being the one who he trusts the most, and his right-hand woman. And we saw them having a real moment, where Tommy was telling her how he's never had anything that's his, and Ghost was someone who wanted other things, whereas his vision never changed. And she's someone who understands Tommy and his hustle, and that's because she's similar to Tommy. She's someone who showed her loyalty, even though she was battered and bruised and taken by Markovich and his men. But she also brings other qualities to the team, like being a cook, a courier, his voice of reason, and a ruthless killer instinct as well. So Lilliana is arguably one of the most important to his organization, but Claudia and the Doc are equally as important. Now with Claudia, she was the woman behind the product and the connect to the cook after she killed Mai, and she was the one who reached out to Tommy with this new drug, Dhalia, that was gonna kick his teeth in 1,000 times over. And you could say, at this moment, they definitely needed each other, because as much of a boss Claudia has shown as she can be in the boardroom, as well as behind a gun, she doesn't have the skills to build an organization from scratch, and she doesn't know how to move product the way Tommy does, because he was someone who knew a network of distros already, which are Rojas's customers. And we saw Tommy giving a lesson to Claudia with the locker drops and how they could move their weight by hiding in plain sight, and in essence, where they could remain as a ghost. But as much as Claudia needed Tommy, Tommy needed Claudia, because he'd just been cut out from the deal that he made with Vic Flynn and the CBI. But Tommy was someone who had his eye on Claudia from episode 3, because he knew that Walter Flynn had her playing in the wrong position. But coming away from Lilliana and Claudia, Dr. Williams is now Team Tommy, because she's the woman behind Dhalia, and even though she's not a drug dealer, she's shown how valuable she is to Tommy, because of how she's able to create this drug Dhalia, as well as the new cheaper and affordable version that will rival the regular street drugs. And where Lilliana said they may need to get rid of her because she knows way too much, Tommy was reluctant to kill her, because there aren't many people who can do what she does. But could we have also seen a slight turn with her character, because she took Dhalia along with the rest of the team, and we all saw them in Dreamland, high on Dhalia, so it's just something to watch with Dr. Williams. But that's Tommy's team of powerful women that he's created around him. But moving on, as episode 7 has showed us, Tommy wants to expand, which is why he wanted to create a version of Dhalia that the regular junkie on the street can afford. But if he's gonna expand, they need to be able to keep up with the demand, and having the demand for Dhalia is all good, but you need to be able to supply the junkies with their fix, otherwise they're just gonna go to the next best thing, which they could find from the CBI. So as the episode 8 trailer showed us, Tommy knows that they need a new cook to keep up with the demand and supply, and this is definitely on top of Tommy's shopping list. But who could this new cook be? That's the million-dollar question. Now we all know Lilliana is someone who can cook, and she's someone who's been in Chicago for a while, where she's been cutting for various crews, including Gennard and the CBI, and we've seen her in the lab with Dr. Williams, learning and taking notes. So no doubt, she's possibly someone who could possibly learn the skills to learn and take over. But as I mentioned before, Lilliana is someone who's got many skills, so does Tommy want her stuck in the labs, just cooking Dhalia, when she could be useful elsewhere? So this brings me on to JP, because he's someone who wants in on the game, and Tommy's business, because he's still sky high in debt, and he's also someone who's done his fair share of moving weight back in the day. But to what extent? We don't exactly know, because Tommy cut him short because he doesn't want JP anywhere near his organization, and that's because he's already lost one brother to the game, and he's not prepared to lose another. So JP's role may be best served moving his drugs through his club, or possibly even using his club to wash Tommy's money. But what about D-Mac? Because he's someone who was pushed out of the plan that he made with Marshall, and we also saw him warning Tommy that he needs to watch his back, and Tommy definitely appreciated the heads up. So it really is D-Mac's time to step up and play more of a role over the last few episodes, and building up to this big reveal that he's Tommy's nephew. And we also know that D-Mac will move towards Tommy's side because of his character description, so I'm sure Tommy will bring him on board in some way. Now, I also had a lot of comments mentioning 2-Bit, and could he be the person that Tommy has in the back of his mind? But I disagree, because 2-Bit isn't a cook, but he definitely is more of a street soldier. But if Tommy wants to expand his business, then he'll need some more street soldiers, and 2-Bit could be another valuable member to Tommy's organization in that respect, but not a cook in my eyes. Now of course, they could also bring in someone completely random from the original Power that Tommy knows from New York, someone completely unexpected like we saw with Lilliana and Tatiana returning. But that's Tommy's team and potential characters who could be his new cook. But what happens when Tommy does expand? Could this drug ever make its way to New York and Power Book 2 Ghost? Because as they've all been saying, demand will be high, and Dhalia is the future, and Diamond even said, there's something different about this. And it brings me back to a few theories which I've run across the last few weeks, with how they could run crossovers between the two shows. Now last week I ran through how these images of Tommy could land on Blanca Rodriguez's desk, or even Cooper Saxe. But this drug Dhalia, as it makes more noise with a more affordable version, will attract attention from law enforcement. And could this be another way they could cross over between the two shows, with Dhalia, where they could potentially bring Cooper Saxe or Blanca Rodriguez, looking for Tommy as well as the connect behind this drug. And as I mentioned before, there is still a vacant power vacuum in New York for a connect, because Mecca was supposed to be that guy, but he turned out to be the GOAT of global snitching. So could Tommy be the Tejada's new connect? Because as we move into Power Book 2 Ghost Season 3, I do feel a crossover will come at some point in some way. So drop all your thoughts down below on Tommy's new cook, and could this be a way where they connect Power Book 2 Ghost to Power Book 4 Force? Drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 4 Force and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.